Welcome back to the SC Halfback podcast. I'm your host, Matt Namolsky, and welcome to another episode. A bit different today. We're back on YouTube. Going to try and make this a bit of a theme. Obviously, the podcasts are back coming fast and thick, but want to get back into the YouTube space. And I thought, what a perfect way to do it after this week. So, as you can see, if you are on YouTube, uh, not great signs. We went the dreaded over 4 from draft. We've gone back-to-back weeks of red arrows on the season rank, but classic. So just to give a bit of a summary for you that can't see the screen. In classic, we are now 18,372, down 1,500 spots. 6 trades left to go. And in draft, again, yes, got pretty much pumped in nearly all of them. A couple of close ones, but yeah, had to throw in the towel on a few of them. So I thought, what a good little episode here. Where is the SC Hardback right now in terms of my ranks, my leagues? How am I set up for the finals? Am I going to make finals? And maybe, a couple of my league scenarios might be where you are, and I can maybe give you a couple of thoughts and tips of to how to help you with your season. So let's get right into it. Let's start with Classic because yeah, Classic is rough. We sat around the 20,000 K mark for a long time. Couldn't really just get up the ranks, and then the last couple of weeks, yeah, just been really burnt. Couple of captains. We obviously had Turbo on the weekend. Uh, Looked like it was going to be an amazing masterstroke with 10 minutes into the match, but then obviously got hurt. So now here's where we sit. So, yep, overall rank 18,000. If we go to the team, I like my team, and that is the problem. So obviously 73K left in the bank with 6 trades left. And this is the team pre-trade. So we've still got Pascoe and Grant in the hooker role. We've got Terrell May with Joe Tapine in the front row. I've got Jackson Ford, who will be moving out this week, with Miles Martin, who we obviously traded in as the Nuff last week. Rauchman, IPAP, Wong starting the 2RF with Lukey, Fune-Fuiaki, and McInnes, who potentially will go this week. We've got Hines and Cleary in the halfback spot. Tamari Martin and my boy Jay Clifford, justice for Jay Clifford finally got over the line, is there in the 5'8" role. The CTWs, Kula, Hopewadi, Alamoti, Critter with Farnworth, Asaka on the bye, and Makasini as someone who we will need to upgrade potentially that last spot or enough out to get that last little bit of cash. And then the fullbacks, we got Edwards, Travojevic, who will be gone this week, and Suafar Longo. So that is the team right now. I'm pretty happy with it. Obviously, there's a few trades to make, but in terms of this, to me, just doesn't feel like a 20,000 overall side. I feel like we got a few things right in the off season and during the season, really early. We identified some guys pretty early. We jumped on them at good prices. Pasco is one that I look at there. I think Fine Fuiaki were very early, kind of just at the start of that run we got there. We bought guys at the right time. Wong, IPAP. We got the two Manly boys with one of them playing fullback now. We went big on the Panthers with Alamotti and Edwards during the bye period that didn't really plan out except one game. Uh, so yeah, look, it's a good side. Is it a side that's going to vault us up the rankings? No, we'll need to make a few more trades. I think in these last 6 trades, especially if we do boost this week, we need to get up there and get up there fast. I always want to try and keep my last trades to be very pod hunting. I don't want to go with the crowd, but this week there are just a few where I've seen some teams out there with no trades. So as we start to look at, who are the guys that are going to make way this week in some people's sides, some people can't get these guys in. So it's going to be very interesting to see how we can maybe try and jump up those ranks. But the one guy I'm looking at straight away, let's do a bit of trade planning right now. So Jackson Ford does need to go. So I want to move IPAP up into the front row forward. And my boy, it's going to be the second time he comes into the side this season. But at the price, I just don't know how I'm not going to have him in there as Jacob Preston at 491,000. A break even of 38, so you don't have to go this week. But to me, there's a nice little run coming. Obviously, the Warriors at a core this week. I'll be there at that game, so hopefully he crushes it for a try. We got Melbourne and A Park, and Melbourne's a bit, how they got at the moment. Roosters in the Rabbits who have fallen apart. The Dragons who have been up for a fight recently. Are they due for a come down? Panthers could start to rest in round 26. and then add a core against Brisbane, who could have a season done as well. So I see a few 80s and 90s in there if we can crash over for a try. We've obviously got Crichton and Galvin back as the halves, which I love. So yeah, I think at 491k, it nets me a ton of cash. So that's why I'm really keen on doing this trade because again, if we do the trade now, we've gone from 70,000 to 236,000 in the bank, and now we can really have some fun. So obviously Tom Trbojevic is probably the next man to bring into the side. So we'll move Sort into the flex. And then with Tom, we got 815k. It's take your pick. What do you want to try and achieve? Do I want to bring in a Tom Jenkins for that Parramatta matchup? If we go just into fullbacks, there are quite a few ways we could go here. We got James Tedesco at 576k. I do like that. He's in 17% of teams. The Roosters run, I kind of thought of the Toya Mark, try and do that stack for the season. I'm not in love with the draw. Don't hate it, not in love. Newcastle this week at McDonald Jones, and the Cows, Dogs, Panthers, Tigers, Dolphins, Rabbits. Those last three could be pretty key. I think saving a trade or two to get one of those guys in there. Still, the Dogs are up a little bit. Panthers obviously are there. So look, it's not a bad run, but it's not a slam dunk. Hamiso is obviously the guy we shouted out last week, and obviously backed up with 100. The draw is pretty delectable. Dragons, Broncos, Manly, Eels, Roosters, and Titans. So if you just like me and have Asako and Farnworth, I've got Finefuiaki as well. Hold in place for the rest of the year. Bringing in Hamiso would be pretty interesting at 614k. And look at his ownership stats at 4% of teams. That's what I like to see. So he's another one I'm looking at. Obviously, Ponga is 763k. Reece Walsh is obviously the obvious one. 555k. You make money on the trade a little bit, maybe 25k odd. But yeah, that 106. The only thing to me with that 106, obviously, the conditions played a bit of a part. It was very wet, so obviously did limit a bit more playing, but he was still throwing the pill around. I think Random Stats Guy had the stat, most receipts by a fullback. He was basically playing halfback, as everyone's been talking about all week, and that was 106. So look, I could definitely see on a dry, fast track, and he plays this week on a very fast, dry track in North Queensland. Then he goes Suncorp, Suncorp, Suncorp into Canberra. Not great. Last time we went to Canberra, we know what that score was. Into Melbourne at Suncorp, and then a core again for that dog showdown. So, look, going against Reece Walsh this week would be pretty intimidating. He is at 9% of teams right now. That will obviously go up this week. But if we were just to bring him in just for the sake of argument, all of a sudden now we're sitting at 260k. We still got another trade to make this week. If we want to, we could go the Cam McInnes, or we can go Macassini up and really just upgrade that last spot. And then, we could go a VC Walsh into a C Hines. We got plenty of guys to kind of move around if we need to in different spots to bring in a Dolphin to do the loop as well. Just got to obviously make sure those matches line up. But that's what we're thinking of a classic. Again, to me, I just look at my side and go, this is a good side. I'm not sure how we are kind of sitting where we are. Again, just a couple of poor captaincy decisions here and there, but you live and you learn in Supercoach, as we know. So that's currently the team. We'll take the reserve off Clifford and put that on Sewer. And yeah, that's probably the team we're going to rock with this week. And again, we do have that last boost as well. We have obviously got a few Panthers in IPAP, Cleary, Alamotti, and Edwards. If there's a big Thursday night game and we look on for a big score, it's one that I might really try and jump on and try and make some leaps and bounds. Like I said, upgrade that Macassini spot. I could even, look at maybe I don't know. I've got a few guys I don't really want to trade out, but we're at the time of the year. I think Helam Lukey is probably one we could probably upgrade and just grab the best available 2RF we can go to, or Lucas we can go to, whoever we want there essentially. So yeah, that's the classic team. Let's get in a draft. We are draft guys here. So let's start with the Dynasty team. So in Dynasty, we are coming second. And this is the team. It is obviously a flex team. We got Egan at hooker with Paddy on the bench. Front row of Toby Couchman and Naf White. 2RF of Firma, Lukey, Egan, and we got Nickera on the bench as well. Halfback is Hines with Kobe Black on the bench. 5'8" is Savala. We obviously got hit with him being named on the bench this week, so he'll have to make way or move onto our bench, and we'll have to bring someone in. CTWs Alamotti, Iro, Garrick, Talangi, and Meany on my bench. Drinky at my fullback, and obviously my flex of Tom Trebojevic now out for the season. So the first thing we'll do straight away just to get the team set is we'll bring Nickera into our flex just to have that there. And that's currently the team. So we've been at the top of the season all year. Obviously, had a shocker last week. We captained Drinky for his 47. But I love this team. Obviously, Turbo getting hurt does remove the ceiling off a little bit, but as a 10-man keeper league, very happy with it. We got our keepers already for next year. I can kind of just give that to you now. We got Couchman is going to be one of them. We'll go Furmore. We'll go Egan, Hines, Iro, Drinkwater, Paddy, Tom, Kobe Black, and probably even Savala potentially, depending on what DC does over the off season. So this team is probably the one I have to talk about the least. I think when we do get into finals, I will still make grand final pretty comfortably on this team. There's still a lot of good free agent and waiver options as well. So yeah, this team I'm not concerned about. We got a good run coming up with a few players we can captain and vice captain every week. So the Dynasty team is good, no real changes. I'm pretty confident we make a grand final and go for a back-to-back premiership in this comp here. We'll move into the Finers Keepers League. So as you guys know, I'm in the Finers Keepers League, and yeah, to me this is just a bit of fun, but we have been cruel with injury. We started really hot in this season, as you can see on my bench there. KPP gone, Munster gone, Latrell Mitchell gone. We had Noah Mann before he got hurt. We've had heaps. I put a post up a couple of months ago, and we've just been slammed in this one, but we're still making it pretty good. I think we're third. We're definitely going to make the final, so I just wanted to get into the top six. I've been finessing the free agency list to try and see, as you can see here, we'll just run through the team. I'll go through the options here. So we've got Freddie Lussick at hooker, who will turn into an AE as we get to finals. Fisher Harris and Loco Pacifico Tonga. Again, took a punt on him. Just, the minutes were there. Went back a little bit on the weekend, but I still like what I see from him. Fafita, Nanai, and Laban in the 2RF. Again, Laban was one we kind of did pick up at the tail end of his 80-minute spells. Now with Capewell and Halasima back, he will be gone this week. We got Dewey at halfback. We got Chanel Harris Tavita at 5'8". The CTWs of Best, Lehigh, Tupu, and Ramian with Ponga at fullback. And then, yeah, as I said, KPP, Munster, Latrell, and I had Hiroti in there last week. So in this one, this is a three-man keeper rolling onto each season. So I guess for me, the definites keeps Ponga 100% gets carried over. Latrell Mitchell we carried over. And then that last spot is going to be between Munster, KPP, Dave Fafita, probably. Maybe Dewey, but definitely those two guys, and we move on there. So in this league, like I said, we will make top six. I like the top of my team. Obviously, the news today of Latrell Mitchell probably not coming back, not great. KVP obviously won't be there. We need Munster to come back. Chanel's a decent stopgap for now, but we do need that upside there. So this team, there's one other guy in this comp who is absolutely flying and averaging 1,000. It's really, I thought, me and him all season. I've just been bit with injuries, so I could see myself kind of getting to semis and then getting knocked out, unless I get some of these guys back on the park. If Latrell and Munster are back on the park, different story. I think I could win the comp. But right now, it's really KPP heavy on this team. There's no one else really. As you can see last week, I viced KP and then captain Toops. Didn't really make a difference, not doing that loop anyway. So, yeah, this team's in a bit of strife from where we were, but I still think we can swindle the free agent list. There's a few guys, as you saw my waiver post tonight, I'm very, very keen on, so we'll see if we can pick any of those guys up. But yeah, it's a good team, but obviously not where it was. We'll go to the podcast league next. This one we're in strife. So this is the team, to give a bit of context, when we did the draft, we went totally into the stats. And we went into the CTWs and the 2RFs and built a team around front row forwards, 2RFs, and CTWs. So let's run through the team. At hooker, we got Pasco and Paddy. I went for the double combo there, so love having those two guys there. Front row of Max King, Joe Tapine, and Lindsay Smith off the bench. In the 2RF, we got Twal, Butcher, and McEwen currently. Halfback is Savala with Wishart off the bench. Trindle at 5'8". The CTWs of Farnworth, Kiraz, Iro, and Talangi. So as you can see, a lot of the first three picks are there in Herbie, Iro, and Kiraz. Dylan Edwards as my fullback with Dufty off the bench. So we'll just obviously for this week, we'll switch in Wishart there. But yeah, this team is just, when we were going really well in this comp and kind of basing around and we're staying in that, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh range. I think we're eighth now, or ninth. So no, we're eighth. We're eighth in this league. So the bottom two get relegated. We're 4 points ahead of relegation. So look, there's still plenty of guys in here. As you can see, Herbie, Kiraz, Iro, Dill, Twal, Taps, the two hookers. So we're in no danger of getting relegated, I don't think. But finals we're going to have to start winning a couple of games here in a row. So it's tough because, again, do I have to part with one of these CTWs? Trading is very hard in this comp. There's not much action going there. So I'm really going to have to try and pull one out here and see what I can do. But this team is a little bit tough. We're going to have to obviously find CTW for this week. We have to choose whether we're going to keep McEwen as our emergency loop, and then who we're going to play out of Smith and Dufty. Because and obviously Zavala now probably has to go because of that bench just in case he gets a low score there as well. So this is the team I'm probably most concerned about where I am on the ladder. The FK is the team I'm most concerned about in terms of I maybe don't have the cattle. And obviously Dynasty, like you said, I'm pretty confident there. But let's go to the home league because, as you guys know, this is the bread and butter, brown for bags. We were lost. We were lost in this league. We were coming 10th. We lost to 11th just before the buys or the first round of the buys. And I basically put the Sharpie through this lineup. I just didn't like. I was posting, on the Thursday night before the first game, I'd post this team and I'm running Ben Tolte. I'm running just a gaggle of guys that were just not good enough. Obviously, we've turned it around, so we are now sitting in sixth. Are very, very healthy points for and against compared to the rest of the guys around me at the bottom of the top six. So let's run through the lineup. Blake Brayley at hooker. We have got Tino and Cooper Clark up front. The two rows, we've got plenty of them. We've got Wong, Egan, Cotter, Liam Martin, and Capewell. We got Sam Walker at halfback. We got Clifford and Munster in the 5'8". We got Marky Mark, Sasangi, Iro, and Staggs in the CTW with Penasini on the bench, and my boy Keanu Kinney at fullback. So from where we were to where we are now with this team, this is a very sexy team. And I really, really do like this. This is obviously a 12-man league. And again, you look at this team, we had guys, I had to take some risks on some injured players, or I got them and they got injured straight away. And I just had to sit there. Mark was out for a while after I traded. I got one game out of him, then he got injured. I traded for an injured Sasangi very early on when the reports was he was going to be out for 2 or 3. Ended up being like 5 or 6 or something. We lost Brayley to the broken arm in Origin. We obviously lost Tino in Origin. Sam Walker was not meant to be lost during Origin. We lost him. Yeah, this is just a team that we've kind of built slowly throughout the year. I really like my team now. If I don't make the finals from here, I'll be quite surprised if this team can't kick on and perform because, there's enough as you can see here for a 12-man league, this is a pretty ridiculous amount of talent. I bought Tino very low, very early in the year after his 40-40 start. Cooper Clark was a nice little upgrade on our Stefano trade last week when we got Wong back. So yeah, this is probably out of all of my 4 draft teams, it's my favorite team. Obviously, being my home team, there's a little bit of a crush on it, but I do love this team. And again, I think that this tonight on the waivers, I think probably Capewell is the only one I'll make a move on. Penasini is named in the extenders this week, so I like that. If we can get Penasini in, it gives us 5 CTWs to rotate through. Liam Martin just has been scoring really well, so I don't mind having him there. And again, if I need to pull an AE out, we can work that out there. Munster will be a fantastic AE if we can get him back on the park shortly. But yeah, this is the home team. So as you can see in my four draft leagues, very, very different sides. The podcast league kind of built on the stats and never really traded after that. The FKA built a really nice team through the draft and just got snake bit with injuries. Dynasty, we carried over a very strong 10 and we've been very fluent on the waivers this year to try and bring guys in and out. And then in the home league, obviously, yeah, a few trades. And I think we'll do probably the next episode on YouTube. We'll go through the trades that I made to get this team, kind of do a bit of a review. Would I do the trade again? And maybe just talk through that piece of it. But yeah, that's where the SC Halfback is kind of looking at in terms of where we need to go for all of our teams. We could just quickly flick back to the homepage here. Yeah, classic is just going to be about how do we attack these last couple of trades. Obviously, Preston is a must. I think that Reece Walsh, as much as I want to pod hunt, I think I just need to bring him in this week, especially with the Cowboys up there in Townsville. And then that Panthers game will be a real turning point of do I really go harder this week and try and get something out of it. In drafts, Dynasty, I'm very happy. Finders keepers will make the finals. We'll see if we can make a couple of trades for some non-keepers to try and just build a little bit of assets up in the tank for a bit of a push. Podcasters, we're struggling. Got to try and really turn that around. And home league, as you guys know, I keep you very informed in that league. We just got to get through and try and do what we can there. But that is the team. And again, this is the first podcast back on YouTube. Really enjoyed going through that. Not really player specific, but again, just kind of show you where I am. Maybe you have a very similar team and where you are sitting on the ladder. Um, as you can see, I think you just got to work out who's got buys coming up, who's got good runs you can try and jump on. And again, going back to my podcast about Brayley, Pasco, Grant, and Paddy, can you trade a gun for a guy averaging very similar with a decent run coming up to try and improve your team elsewhere? I think is going to be a very key one for the rest of the year there. But we'll leave it there. Nice to be back on YouTube. If you are listening to the podcast, go check out the YouTube channel at the SC Halfback. Go over to the Instagram at the SC Halfback, obviously doing content every day. Waivers and the plug and play is just about to post that one up now, so you'll be able to see that one for tonight. And yeah, we'll leave it there. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, and we'll hear from you soon. Cheers.